Welcome out to the Best in Sports. You got Tim Johnson and Ken Link, your host here on a Wednesday afternoon. It's raining outside, Ken, and I tell you what, buddy, we have a lot of great sports talking today right here for you on KTC Broadcasting here on a Wednesday. Good afternoon to you, Ken.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about that's happening. It has happened over the last week, this weekend, and will be happening this week. We got all kinds of sports that are sort of intermixing here as some seasons are ending up and others are getting going good.
That's right. And talk about right out of the gate, Ken, how about them North Carolina Tar Heels national champions this year?
Yeah, and as a Tar Heel fan, I'm certainly happy about that. And, after really having some tough games to get to the championship game, a tough game against Oregon, which they missed 4 free throws at the end and then grabbed some key rebounds to actually savor the victory at the end there. And then the others Final Four game with South Carolina versus Gonzaga, another
I thought they was going to come back and win the game.
A great game. I mean, Gonzaga was controlling the game, had a 14-point lead about midway through the second half, and all of a sudden 16 straight points by
South Carolina. And then now you got anybody's game, and it went right down to the last couple minutes. I'm impressed with their coach, Ken. Frank Martin did an absolutely tremendous job with that team. I mean, that team came from nowhere out of that tournament as a 7th seed and got hot and went on a roll and got all the way to the Final Four. The very first time that, South Carolina's ever made it to the Final Four. As a matter of fact, they won one NCAA game.
1973, they won one game in the NCAA and had not ever been past the first round.
And made it straight to the Final Four. Yeah. What a great accomplishment for Frank Martin and the South Carolina Gamecocks. Congratulations to them as well.
I heard somebody say they were preseason they were picked to finish 7th in the SEC.
Wow. That's unbelievable. That's great coaching right there, Ken.
Yeah, it is.
And speaking of great coaching, how about Roy Williams? Third national championship, Ken. 14 years at Carolina.
Yeah, 14 years at Carolina and 3 national championships, all in that span at North Carolina. And been to the Final Four 5 times in that span. During that span, he's also won 8 regular season conference championships. So sometimes even Carolina fans give Roy a hard time and criticize him. And I tell you what, with this, I think he'll get the recognition he deserves as one of the best coaches.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He's a pedigree from the great Dean Smith, and now he's setting his standard, Ken. He's putting his name up there.
Yeah.
Roy Williams. I mean, came from Kansas to Carolina, and so, it's unbelievable what he's done at Carolina, especially in the footsteps and the shoes of Dean Smith.
Yeah, it was interesting. Somebody asked him about him winning 3 championships, and Dean Smith won 2, and he said it's just amazing to me to be mentioned in the same sentence as Dean Smith.
Yeah,
but that moves him up. If you look at the championships by coaches, the legendary John Wooden had 10 NCAA championships.
Right.
Coach K is next with 5.
Right.
And you have the Kentucky legend Adolph Rupp with 4.
Mm-hmm.
After that, you got Roy Williams, Bobby Knight, Jim Calhoun with 3.
Right.
So he's right up there, right after them top 3 in 4th place, really tied in 4th place for the most championships, NCAA championships.
Yeah, that's a great accomplishment for Carolina. Carolina, they got beat in the second round? Well, third round of the ACC tournament. Second round, and then just regroup. And, that has a lot to do with Roy Williams, getting the kids together and stuff like that.
They lost in the quarterfinals, so, right. They had a double bye, so they had only 3 games they would have had to play to win the ACC tournament, but they got knocked out in the second game they played there. And then got on a roll, and some of their games in the tournament weren't easy, and they didn't always shoot that well.
Did anybody shoot well?
Let's talk about the championship game. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
35% shooting by Gonzaga, 36% shooting from the field by Carolina, who hit only 4 out of 27 threes. My question was, why are y'all shooting so many threes? Carolina's not a three-point shooting team. They usually don't throw up more than 18, 20 at the max.
Right.
But they were putting them up, and they weren't going in. Justin Jackson 0 for 9.
Yeah. Joel Berry stepped up.
He toughed it out. He hit the key shots when they had to have them. When they had to have them, he hit key shots, and then
that's leadership right there.
It is, and he wasn't 100%, but he still was going to be out there leading that team. And when he's on the bench and not directing that team, they're a different team. They're
totally
a completely different team.
Yep.
And Meeks had a great Final Four. Obviously, the first game he played, he was outstanding, and he played, I thought, well in this game. But you had to give it to Barry because of his leadership in the last game when it really counted. And Hicks also came on, had some key buckets late in the game.
He did.
And Pinson, who's not a great shooter, he had a great game. He had 9 rebounds.
His defense, Ken.
He's getting the loose balls. He's out there with his length on defense. The key to the game was he and Jackson's length on defense.
Yeah, on Goss. He played – Pinson was on Goss.
Yeah.
So he somewhat shut Goss down.
Well, Goss scored some points,
difficult.
But he was like 5 out of 17. Hey, that's doing a good job when you making him shoot where he's not efficient at all. He wasn't efficient
and
on 5
this guy's
out
an
of 17.
outstanding guard. He's not only a guard. He's a shooting guard. He's a scoring guard.
Very impressive. Very impressive how he can get in the lane and sort of post you up and shoot little jumpers.
Yep.
Real clever with that, how he shoots those little jumpers over you.
The key to that game, I thought, was the inside play of Carolina. I think they shut their big boys down.
He did.
Collins is a player. I like Collins.
Yeah.
He's a player, and he's going to be good. But the big boy, he just didn't have a big.
No, he doesn't have the footwork and you
Kanowski,
and Meeks really bodied him up, made it hard for him when he tried to turn and go the opposite way. And then he got a little frustrated and rushed some stuff, and he missed some easy shots. But it was times Carolina was harassing him pretty good. And,
well, congratulations to North Carolina Tar Heels,
and
2017 national champions, and
there's a lot of discussion about the refereeing in the game, and there was some missed calls both ways. But the biggest complaints was they called so many fouls.
Yeah, 14 minutes?
14 minutes left in the game. Both teams 1-1.
Yeah,
so
can't have that.
We can't have that. And in a game when you get to the championship, you expect to have the best referees, and I'm not sure we saw the best refereeing in that game.
Well,
that's
a point.
But Gonzaga coach was he's
a good coach.
He's a good coach. He was in defeat, a lot of class.
Very gracious.
He and Dean Williams are friends, and by the way, Mark Few and Roy Williams both had good winning percentages. The active coach, Few's first, Williams is second as far as winning percentage of coaches that are still active.
Well, there you go. North Carolina Tar Heels, Ken. Your Tar Heels.
My Tar Heels.
You predicted it. You called it.
At the beginning of the year, I wouldn't thought they could make it back, but they did. So sometimes you got to get there, and once you get there, anything can happen.
To all the Tar Heels fans out there. All right, Ken, speaking of Final Four, how about the women's Final Four? You have Mississippi State over UConn.
Biggest upset
in college basketball.
Basketball in a long time. UConn had won 111 games straight. Obviously dominant in college basketball for years. And when they won last year, they went through and won. They just destroyed teams. In fact, Mississippi State happened to play UConn last year in the tournament and got beat by 60.
And come back and beat UConn.
And come back and beat them in OT.
Wow. With the last second, walk-off, last second
shot.
Yeah,
buzzer beater. Score was tied. Yeah. Buzzer beater, a tough shot by a 5'5" foot little gal that put it up over a extended arm and did nothing but net. Hit nothing but net.
And then you have South Carolina over Stanford, and then the women's championship game was, of course, South Carolina against,
Mississippi State.
SEC.
Right there. Yeah. And South Carolina beat them twice this year. In fact, I think I read South Carolina had beat Mississippi State the last 10 times they played.
Wow.
So they had their number, and they won by double digits. And congrats to South Carolina women for their first national championship. They're really happy down there, and they've got some really good players coming back. This could
got
be
a good coach, Don Staley.
They'll be in contention for another one. And of course, Kentucky will still. I mean, not Kentucky, but UConn will still be there as well. I'm sure.
And Ken, you was going to highlight something about the NCAA championships in the Carolinas in the past 12 months.
Yeah,
let's talk a little bit about that.
Let's look at the last 12 months. We've got a national championship in baseball, Coastal Carolina. And then we had Clemson winning the national championship in football. Now we get to basketball, and we got the Heels winning men's basketball championship, and the South Carolina Gamecock women winning a basketball championship.
So championships are staying in the hometown Carolina. How about that?
Absolutely. Carolina,
in the home state.
Down south in Carolina, we're producing some championships.
That's pretty good, ain't it?
It is great. I mean, and these are major sports. These are not like, hey, tennis and badminton or something. These are major sports.
Did you ever come up with the fact of why that the girls play 4 quarters and the boys only play 2 quarters?
Well, I looked into that a little bit. The change was made in college women's basketball 2 years ago. So in 2016 and this year in 2017, they played with 10-minute quarters, 4 quarters, 10 minutes, rather than 20-minute halves. And the reason they went to that was they were hoping it would improve the flow of the game. One of the things that's different in quarters, when you get to the 5th team foul, you shoot 2 free throws.
Right.
No 1-and-1, shoot 2.
Right.
But when the quarter ends and the next quarter starts, you start over with the fouls as far as free throws. So you got to get 5 more in the next quarter.
I see.
Now, if you're in the 4th quarter and it goes into OT, you don't start over in OT. You just keep going as you ended the quarter. But that does keep folks from shooting so many foul shots, and you stopping the game. And I guess we saw in the Carolina Gonzaga game, it really did disrupt the flow of the game because you had so many fouls and free throws being shot.
Right.
So the men, I understand, are discussing that same change. This is a year when they can, if they choose to, implement some rule changes, and so they are discussing it. We'll see what comes out.
Well, they do it in high school. In high school, Ken, I don't understand. In high school, it's 4 quarters.
Yeah.
Or 4 periods, whatever you want to call it. And then when you get to the pros, it's the same way. But in college, they only go 2. And I know they've done that for years. But in women's, they do 4. And then if you play professional basketball in ladies, then it's the same thing.
Yeah, right now college men is the one that's different than everybody else. So it may get changed. We'll see.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And it may help the flow. I mean, I think it may help the flow again.
All righty, Ken. We have some golf. We got the Masters this week, Ken.
Yeah, sure do. And had a LPGA major this past weekend. Had some controversy about that as well.
We'll get into that a little bit later on. But what we're going to do is right now, Ken, we're going to go to a commercial break. And after that commercial break, we got Mr. Luke Hevner of Lincoln Country Club. He's going to be calling us right here live on KTC Broadcasting.
The Chuck Wagon Grill in Lincoln wants to take this time to wish Trevor Childers of the East Lincoln Mustangs the best of luck during this high school baseball season. Trevor pitches and plays outfield for the Mustangs, and the Chuck Wagon Grill is proud to be a sponsor of high school baseball. And for award-winning food, head to the Chuck Wagon Grill for some great daily lunch and dinner specials. And they do catering for any size event. Just call 704-732-4777. The Chuck Wagon Grill, 3051 Highway 27 east of Lincoln. Go Mustangs! Crossroads Ford in Shelby is now Classic Ford Lincoln of Shelby. Yes, the name has changed, but the same friendly people you know are still there. Yes, you're invited to the all-new Classic Ford Lincoln in Shelby. Manager Richard Michaels invites you to come on in. You'll find the best possible deals on your new Ford or Lincoln, and check out their pre-owned inventory. For sales, service, and parts from the same people you've come to know and trust, they're still there at the all-new Classic Ford Lincoln in Shelby, located at 1775 East Dixon Boulevard in Shelby.
Sleep apnea is the interruption of sleep by a blockage to breathing. 8 million Americans go undiagnosed for sleep apnea. Dr. John L. Cloninger III of Lincoln can help you with sleep apnea problems. John III is a member of the American Academy of Dental Sleep Medicine. He can help you now overcome the symptoms of obstructive sleep apnea, such as excessive daytime sleep, loud snoring, episodes of breathing cessation where you stop breathing, dry mouth and sore throat, morning headaches, insomnia, attention problems, and more. John III is concerned that patients don't know there are treatments for obstructive sleep apnea, from CPAP to dental appliances or even surgery. John III offers a free consultation for anyone with symptoms of sleep apnea. Just call 704-735-0765 or come by 904 Doncha Drive in Lincoln to make an appointment. Sleep longer, smile brighter, live happier. Let Dr. John L. Cloninger III put his 21 years of dentistry experience to work for you.
There's a storm coming. We may not know its path, but your independent auto owner's insurance agent knows no matter what happens, we'll be there when you need us most. Strong through every storm. That's how it's been for our first 100 years, and how it will be for generations to come.
Your local auto owner's insurance agency is East Lincoln Insurance Agency on Highway 16 in Denver. Call 704-483-3243.
When you need to find a part at a price that's right, that red and blue sign is just within sight. Roll in to CarQuest and roll on. You know how good it feels when you do it yourself, and the parts you need are on a CarQuest shelf. When you want some help from a fellow car lover, it's all in one place, as you'll discover. Roll in to CarQuest and roll on.
Your CarQuest Auto Parts dealer is Eddie's Auto Parts, 2514 East Main Street in Lincoln. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County for over 75 years. Customer service is a priority at First Federal Savings Bank, where they want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, products, and services of larger banks with hometown people that you see throughout your community. They live here, they work here, and this community matters to the people at First Federal Savings Bank. First Federal Savings Bank has 4 convenient locations in downtown Lincoln, Boger City, Denver, and West Lincoln. Stop in and visit and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Welcome back to KTC Broadcasting. Tim Johnson, Ken Link here for you. I want to thank you for joining our show here. Right now, Ken, we have Mr. Luke Hefner live on the radio show with us. Luke, can you hear us?
Sure can, guys. How are y'all today?
I'm doing good, man. How about yourself, Luke? How's things at Lincoln Country Club?
Wet and windy right now. It is a mess out there. It's I'm going to tell you what, it's something. We got a lot of rain coming down.
I hear you, man. So you was at the Masters yesterday, is that correct?
Yes, sir, I was. We had a great time, a lot better weather than what they're having today, that's for sure. It was sunny and, 80-plus degrees, and just a good day to walk around, see the guys practicing, and hang out over 16, watch them skip shots across the pond. It was a lot of fun.
So let's talk about a little bit about Lincoln Country Club. How's your country club coming along? I know you guys redid some greens over there.
Yeah, we last summer redid all of our greens. We took the old bent grass up, put in a newer variety called Diamond Zoysia.
Absolutely.
Won't find a lot of courses around here that's got that on it. So you'll literally have to drive about an hour and a half to get to the first one with the Zoysia. So it's a good putting surface. It's just now starting to get kicked in and growing good, but we're super happy with it so far.
Right. Well, that's good. So, Luke, you're the COO, the Chief Operation Officer, and you got Jody Saunders, who is the general manager there, and Jody's over the pro shop as well. So, you guys are getting ready for the big summer. You got your member guest tournament coming up May 19th through the 21st, and it's going to be the big golf tournament this year. So, you want to talk a little bit about your golf tournament coming up?
Yeah, we got member guests that, our members go out, they get a partner, they come out, they play for the weekend. Friday, you get a practice round. We do a big party on Friday night. We have a long drive contest, putting contest, meals, some music. Everybody just has a good time. 20th and the 21st, you play your rounds. We have another banquet on Saturday night on the 20th, and do a little parents party at a banquet and get all the groupings lined up for the next day, see who's sitting on top of the leaderboard for the tournament. So it's
sounds good, man.
It's a great time.
Ken Link here, Luke.
Yeah, Ken.
You may know my daughter. You know my daughter, Kelly?
Yeah, I've met her once or twice.
Yeah,
I know Kelly well.
I know she bought some pottery from you, and she comes over there, I think, and plays some trivia and eats a little bit over there. So
yeah.
But I haven't ever met you. I did go with her one time to buy some of your pottery. That's been a while. But.
Yeah, it's I'm semi-retired. Actually, I'm just about fully retired in the pottery world. We might get back to that one day. But golf course and restaurant and farm keeps you pretty busy.
Yeah, I imagine. Why don't you talk a little bit about? I understand you have a student golf membership special going on.
And let me tell you something before you get in that, Luke.
Yeah,
that's pretty special. I mean, when he was telling me about that, Ken, I said, "Are you serious to me?" So $30 a month. Luke, tell us a little bit about that student golf.
Yeah, the student golf special is basically it's geared towards the younger folks who are 21 and under whose parents are not interested in being golfers, but they want to get out, they want to learn the sports. You know, any sport has got to have young people involved. So what we do is for $30 a month, they get the membership, they can come out, they can play. The reason they have to be 16 is you have to be that age to drive a golf cart. I mean, that's just logistics of having insurance at a golf course.
So basically what you're doing is, look, you're making a family plan for just not only for dads, but you're making it for the whole entire family, for little ones as well as, kids in college.
Yeah, well, you can, if there's a kid whose family doesn't want to play, the kid can get the membership with a student golf membership, or you can get the full family package. It's $85 a month, and the whole family can come out and enjoy the facilities, pool,
you got a great pool, nice
play
pool.
golf. So just had the pool put in a couple years ago. People are loving it. It's been great.
Bud Lefevers is your director of junior golf programs. Is that correct?
Yeah, Bud is a great guy. Does a great job. The kids love him. I kind of hate him sometimes when he whips me on the golf course, but that's a whole nother
He's a good golfer from what I hear. And also he works with younger kids, too, from the ages like from 8, 9, 10, all the way up to, like you say, the junior the program itself.
Guys, we literally have kids come out to the junior golf program. When they put their golf bag on their back and start carrying it, it drags the ground. I mean, we got some as young as 6 that come out for it. So, if the kid's got enough attention just to stand there for 2 minutes and hit the golf ball, Bud will work with them.
Sure. Well, we really appreciate you calling us here at the studio. Like I say, it's the best in sports. Tim Johnson, Ken Lee. Now, golf-wise, you guys is really turning the corner. I mean, and what I mean with this, your course is taking shape, and you got your greens. You got your greens set now. So, are there any more improvements maybe in the near future you can think of? Maybe tee boxes or anything like that you want to talk about?
Yeah, we're going to start working on a cart pass pretty soon. We got, people that have come out and played the course.
Right.
Cart paths, especially on the front side, or some of them are in pretty rough shape in some spots. So we're going to start going through and repairing those cart paths and getting them improved. Some later on projects, down the road, we'll come in and we're going to really try to redo some bunkers and change some things in that respect, get them sort of cleaned back up, and maybe even make some just total alterations on the golf course as far as bunkers go. Maybe move a few, take a few out, add a few here and there. So
now you got something special for our listeners out there. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've got a little prize package we're going to give away. It includes 4 free rounds of golf.
Sounds good.
You'll get 2 free bags of range balls and an appetizer. 1 free appetizer in the restaurant for when you get done playing. So bring a foursome out, hit the balls before you go out, play around, and come in and join us in the restaurant.
Well, Luke, we're going to let you pick what caller to give out away.
Okay.
You just pick a number, and we'll do the caller, and we'll have him get in contact with you as well as me and Ken. And we want to thank you for calling our radio show here especially. So what caller you want to do, my man? And they know the numbers.
Let's go with lucky number 7.
Lucky number 7. You hear that, all our listeners out there? If you're caller number 7, and go one more time. Tell us what we got here. 4.
We got 4 free rounds of golf. We've got 2 large bags of range balls that'll be free, and a free appetizer for when you get there.
That sounds good. And that's Luke Hebner of Lincoln Country Club, COO, and that's Willie Hebner's boy. And know Luke well. Luke, want to thank you for calling. And,
guys, thank y'all. We appreciate it.
Thank you too, man. And like I say, and hopefully me and Ken get over on that Friday night on that May 19th.
We'd love to have you guys come over. I'm telling you, it is a blast out there on Friday evening. It's a lot of fun.
I understand the food's really good in the restaurant there.
It is.
I know we had an event there not too long ago related to a wedding, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, listen, we got a full-service restaurant. It's open 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., 7 days a week. So just come by and see us. You'll enjoy it, I promise.
Okay. All right, Luke. Thanks for calling, man. And
guys,
stay in contact with us. You too, buddy.
Yep.
That's Luke Hebner, Lincoln Country Club, right here for you on KTC Broadcasting, Best in Sports. We'll be back after these final commercial break.
Get to the Polaris Spring Sales event. and hit the off-road with more money in your pocket. Financing is as low as 2.99% APR, and rebates go up to $2,000 on industry-leading Razors, the best-selling sportsman ATVs, and the undisputed king of the utility, the Polaris Ranger. See Full Throttle Power Sports, 100 Indian Walk in Lowell off I-85. Online at ncfullthrottle.com. It's like going on vacation without leaving town at the Glen Oaks Golf Club in Maiden. Sure, there's golf, but there's a whole lot more, like their swimming pool, driving range, picnic shelter, and their new clubhouse, featuring a snack bar and a big banquet room. Great for weddings, receptions, class and family reunions. So for a fun day of golf and much, much more, see Glen Oaks Golf Course. Call 828-428-2451. 828-428-2451. Online at glenoaksgolf.com. Unless the Lord builds a house, its builders labor over it in vain. This is from Psalms 127, and this verse is what Key Builders in Lincoln is built on. Key Builders in Lincoln is large enough to do what the big boys do, but small enough to be personal. Bring your own plans or visit the website at keybuildersnc.com and view theirs. They have homes for everyone. So call your local hometown builder, Key Builders, 704-735-0040, or visit their office at 1459 North Aspen Street in Lincoln. Like them on Facebook, too.
When Auto Owners Insurance was founded in 1916, the world was quite different. Yet with all that's changed, our commitment to be there when you need us most hasn't. By teaming up with independent agents, we've made a difference for generations of customers, and will for generations to come. And by making a difference every day, 100 years seem to go by in a flash.
Your local Auto Owners Insurance Agency is Mooney Insurance Agency, located at 528 East Main Street in Maiden. Call 828-428-8231.
Here we are, folks, back on Best in Sports with Ken Link and Tim Johnson. We've been talking a lot of sports tonight, and we're going to transition, talk a little bit of local baseball. The baseball season has already hit the halfway point. We're going down the second half of the regular season, and we're getting a little bit of idea of how the teams are faring in the conferences. And Tim, we had the Cherryville team, which had been on a roll. They finished last year, we know, as state champions, and they won their last 18 games and started out of the gate this year with 13 straight and had a 31-game win streak that was snapped last Friday against conference foe Lincoln Charter.
Yeah, Lincoln Charter had a great pitcher on the mound. He shut Cherryville down, and Lincoln Charter played a great game, and from what some of the people that I've talked to, they said Lincoln Charter has got some kids who can hit the baseball, Ken.
Yeah, they won the game 4-3, and Cherryville had, I think, 9 hits, but they only could get 3 runs across, and Lincoln Charter really celebrated after that win. I think they've lost 10 straight games to Cherryville.
To Cherryville, yeah.
And with this win, they moved into a tie at the top of the conference with Cherryville. Both Cherryville and Lincoln Charter now have 10-1 records in the conference.
And so you got Lincoln Charter at 10-2, 10-1, like you said. You tied for first, and then you have Highland Tech 9-4, who is 7-2, and good buddy of mine, Mike Stamey, his grandson Zach Haney, plays for Highland Tech. Actually had some big key hits the other night that Mike was telling me, and I also talked to Zach's mom and dad, Dale. Want to say hello to them. They're always listening to our show. Also, a little bit of baseball for the SD7 2A, Ken.
Yeah, they East Lincoln have been leading that from the very start of the regular season.
Now this is interesting.
They were undefeated in the conference.
And who they played the other night?
And they played Lincoln the other night, and guess what? Lincoln upset them with a 6-1 victory.
And the young man that pitched the game, I think, is P.A. Masters. I believe I read in the paper.
Yeah, I'm not real familiar with them, but pretty impressive to shut down East Lincoln and only allow 1 run.
Yeah, I mean, he pitched a sensational game. 6 1/3 innings, was relieved, and Frank Hatchett came in and closed the game out, and it was over. 6-1 ball game. And I also read that Lane Hoover was on base, I think, 3 times. I think he had 1 or 2 hits, got walked, and also he scored 3 times too. And Carson Williams, that's Bobby, and his mom, Sandy's Williams, son, Carson had a big hit in that game, as well as there was some other kids stepped up too. I think I can't think the kid's name, but had a big hit I think it was in the 5th inning and knocked in 3 runs.
Wow.
Hit a double in the gap, knocked in 3 runs.
But that's an impressive win.
Hey,
and Lincoln's is right in the middle of the pack. In that conference, you got West Caldwell that's got a 7-2 conference record. They're second place. But then after that, you got a little bit of a log jam. You got Bunker Hill alone with a 5-4 conference record. But then you got West Lincoln, Lincoln and Maiden all with 4 and 5 conference records. So as you go down and you sort of vie to finish good enough to get a playoff spot, there's a lot to still be decided with things in the middle jumbled up the way they are.
You know, that's a tough baseball conference right there, Ken.
It is.
That's strictly baseball.
It is.
I mean, you got to have some good coaching. You got to have some good players. I mean, whoever comes out of that tournament as a top seed normally makes it pretty deep in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's pretty competitive baseball conference, and I like to see the parity as far as the teams this year. And some teams have a very good pitcher, and they may, when they go out there, look, okay, they got the advantage. This guy's on the mound. But when he's not on the mound, it's like, hey, anybody can win this game.
Right. And so West Lincoln played, Bunker Hill done that. Bunker Hill beat them 3-1. I understand Dalton Brooks pitched pretty good. He pitched, I think, 6 innings, but he only gave up like 2 or 3 hits. So, he did his job. It just,
didn't get enough runs.
West Lincoln bats. If they can score some runs, they're going to be tough to beat down, going toward playoff time. And also you got Maiden too. I mean, they got probably I'd say Caden O'Brien and Alec Burleson's probably the 2 best pitchers in the conference.
I would say so.
They're lefties.
Yeah.
And you got one going to Carolina, which is Caden O'Brien. Then you got Burleson going to East Carolina. So they're pretty good pitchers.
D1 recruits. They obviously are good pitchers, and they're going to usually dominate in high school baseball.
Absolutely. In North Lincoln 7-3, 4-3 in the conference. They're 3rd place behind South Airedale and Lake Norman. Both of them are 7-1 in conference, Ken.
Yeah. They've North Lincoln's got a pretty good team, but South Airedale and Lake Norman's usually really strong in that conference. And next year, North Lincoln will be moving to 2A and will be joining the other Lincoln County teams in a 2A conference.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, Ken.
And I think
they're going to be hard to beat.
But I think Lake Norman's coming over as well. And so you got 2 really good programs coming over into the conference.
So Lake Norman's coming over as well?
I think they are.
Huh. I wonder if Mooresville will.
No, I don't think they are. But I think Lake Norman is going to be a 2A that's going to be in the new 2A athletic conference that begins in the football season.
Now, were they not in there at one time in football? Was that Lincoln chart I'm thinking about?
I can't recall, Tim. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But, like I say, North Lincoln 7-3, 4-3, they're in 3rd place. They got some talent. But I'm going to tell you what, Ken, that middle school team they got over there,
coming up.
Man, I'm telling you, man, they are loaded in pitching, defense, and hitting. They are loading. I was at North Lincoln yesterday, me and my son Alec was, and we upped the baseball game there. And I tell you, they had 3 home runs hitting that game. And they played West Lincoln Middle School. Matt Linton, who's the middle school coach at West Lincoln Middle School. He was the JV baseball coach at West Lincoln High School for several years and did an outstanding job. Talked to Matt, and Matt's got a great group of young men, and he's doing a phenomenal job. Cody Dellinger is also helping them coach. Ethan Hevner, so we know Cody from up there at Legion Ball. Cody, great kid. So
it's good to see. Well. It's good to see these players that's come through high school, played Legion Ball,
right,
and now a couple years older, coming back,
giving back,
yep. And working with the programs in middle school, high school. There's a lot of them that do. There's a lot of them that do.
And that's that's really good for coaches letting their young kids come in like that to role model and being a mentor to the young ones too coming up in their program. So that's good, Sid. All right, Ken, we have some local sport. Now here's something I want you to talk about, Ken. The UNC gets a graduate transfer court. Now here's the thing: you got Chaz Surratt from East Lincoln High School, great football player, probably. Some people could argue. I think he's the best football player I've seen out of Lincoln County. Bar none.
You could say that.
Charles Briggs was good as well, but I'm telling you,
it's hard to argue with that.
Chaz, I'm telling you. But anyway, UNC gets a graduate transfer quarterback from LSU, Brandon Harris, and he's eligible to play this year, 2017. Harris chose UNC over Texas, Baylor, Arizona, and a couple other SEC schools.
Yeah,
what do you think about that, Ken?
He understand he was initially recruited by Carolina when he came out of high school 2014, and he's played 3 years at LSU, 14, 15, and 16. Evidently a smart kid. He's on track to graduate June 1st, and so that's the reason he's signing as a graduate student, and he didn't want to stay at LSU and play, and he looked around. These graduate students, they're looking for a good graduate school to get to.
Absolutely.
Because these folks are guys that are good students. And they looked at Carolina, and Carolina's got a need with Trubisky going pro, and they don't have anybody on that team that's got very much game experience at quarterback. Now, Chaz Surratt, with Trubisky going pro, you was thinking, okay, he might get his shot. He's, with the other quarterbacks there to get playing time. But with Brandon Harris coming in, you got to feel like with his experience, I mean, he started 15 games at LSU. He's thrown for 20 touchdowns. He's rushed for 7 other touchdowns. He's got a lot of game experience. You got to expect he's probably going to be the starter, and Chaz will be vying for backup or third string quarterback. I mean, that's just the way it looks like it's going to be.
Right.
So that may not be the best news for him as far as his opportunity. He may have to be another year before he has more opportunity for that. So, yeah, that was interesting. I understand that Carolina also signed 3 other graduate transfers, and I understand that the coach was saying this is the first time he's ever done that, but he said it's becoming another recruiting ground.
Is he loading up? Is that what he's doing?
Well, it's you got the high school recruiting,
right?
But these graduate transfer guys, Carolina, like a school like Carolina's got great graduate programs.
Sure.
And so he's going out and looking. He's brought in 2 linemen and 2 linemen, offensive linemen, a running back, and now the quarterback to fill some holes that maybe he can't fill for another year or so with the inexperienced guys.
Sure.
So they get more experience.
Sure. Well, we wish Chaz all the best. I mean, we don't have to give Chaz. We saw him play a lot. So, I mean, he was without a doubt, to me, the best football player out of Lincoln County.
But he redshirted last year, so he's sitting there with 4 years of eligibility.
Right.
So it's not like, he's not going to get his chance. He'll get his chance eventually.
He will. And the old key is the best player will play.
Oh, yeah. And the coach said, look, he's coming in to compete. Nobody's got any position to go out on the field and see who wins it. So, and that's where you got to look at it, but you got to figure with his experience, this guy's got the upper hand.
He's got the upper hand. Yeah. You're right. That's good. And, speaking of the Masters, we just talking to Luke Ebner. Speaking of the Masters, the Masters, to me, that's my favorite championship, PGA championship. I just love the Masters. I love watching it. It's the beginning of the majors. You got the Masters, and then you have the U.S. Open, then the British Open, and then you have the PGA Championship, which, speaking of PGA Championship, that's going to be in Charlotte this year at Quail Hollow. Is Tiger Woods playing? Is he in this tournament, Ken? Have you heard?
He is not. Tiger is not. He's still having physical problems, and he is not. He with his back, he's not in this tournament. And
is Rory?
Rory's in it. Rory's,
okay.
In fact, if you look at who you think the favorites might be, he's one of them. Probably
Jordan Spieth. You'd have to say he's
one of them. And another one is probably the
Dustin
favorite.
Johnson.
Dustin Johnson
I was gonna say, yeah.
is probably the favorite. He's got 5-1 odds that he could win it. So
he's on fire.
He's playing well now, and he just recently won a tournament. And I'm not a golfer, but I enjoy watching the Masters just because the kind of event it is, beautiful, and the way it's conducted. And it's just I've never been there live, but people who have experienced it have really talked about how great it is to be there.
That's great. I tell you what, Ken. Also, we got Scott Davenport calling next week. He's at the Masters. He's trying to make the cut. Scott is. So he's Quail Hollow head pro.
Luck.
Yeah, we wish him luck. So he'll call next week. So we'll talk to Scott. We're going to talk about PGA Championship and what it means coming to Quail Hollow Club there in Charlotte.
Let's talk just a minute, Tim, about something that happened on the LPGA ladies tour this weekend. We have had Alexi Thompson, who was leading the tournament, and on the last day of the tournament, she was informed that she was going to get penalized a total of 4 strokes. 2 strokes for picking up her ball and placing it in a different spot in round 3, and then additional 2 strokes because if you put that penalty on there, they're saying the scorecard she signed would have been incorrect.
Yeah.
Of course, how would she have known that when they didn't even
let her know that?
Yeah, didn't even penalize her till the next day.
Well, the thing about it is they had a person on TV that was watching, or a viewer on TV watching the tournament, called in and said, hey, she didn't place the ball back exactly where the marker was. So I don't understand that.
And it obviously was a mistake. I understand the golf rules, and if you.
But why would they let somebody like me or you call in, Ken?
Why?
I don't understand that. That cost that lady millions of dollars.
And she marked it and she picked it up, and when she put it down, it probably was a half inch or less. It wasn't closer; it was just to the side. And it
How
wasn't
many professional golfers has done that?
I'm sure, and it was unintentional. So
absolutely.
Okay, if you gotta actually.
I'm done at playing golf.
Well, yeah. Well, I know people that do some things intentionally.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the 2-stroke penalty, but the tack on 2 more strokes, that would have waived the 2 strokes for the incorrect scorecard signing because she didn't know it was incorrect.
No viewer should ever be able to call in and do that.
As it turned out, she did rally and actually birdied one of the later holes and ended up in a tie, and it went to the first playoff hole, and she unfortunately lost.
If you're watching a college basketball game, Duke and Carolina, and you see Duke foul Carolina, but the referees don't call it, are you able to call into the show and say, hey, he got fouled, you need to call that? You know what I'm saying?
All you can do is scream at the TV, but you're not going to get anything changed.
You done that a lot, haven't you?
Yeah, I have done that, and nothing ever changed.
All right, Ken, we're going to take a break. We'll be back. We're going to talk some Major League Baseball. We're going to talk some Madison Bumgarner.
All right.
Man, I tell you, was he not special or what?
Showed out again.
We'll be back here on KTC Broadcasting. The best in sports. Tim Johnson, Ken Link.
Drew, this new city just makes me miss home, man. Go get a sweet tea from McDonald's. They make it fresh, sweet, and it's icy cold, just like your mom's. But I miss home. Oh, so you miss your mom telling you to make sure your room's clean? Or
Close the fridge, Ryan, and stop letting all the cool air out. Or turn them lights off,
all
Ryan.
right, got it. The sweet tea is just right. But you know I'm going to tell my mom you got jokes. No, don't.
This is no joke. Stop by McDonald's and get a large sweet tea for just $1 all summer long. Large sweet tea, just $1. Price and participation may vary. Limited time only.
It's Breakfast Madness at Mitchum's Kitchen in Vail. Check out these breakfast specials. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Sausage, steak, or liver mush biscuit for $1.39. And on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, get the big breakfast. 2 eggs, 1 meat, 1 side, biscuit or toast for $4.59. And drink is included. It's Breakfast Madness at Mitchum's Kitchen. Highway 274-27 West intersection in Vail. Call 704-276-1055.
We are back here at KTC Broadcasting, the best in sports. Tim Johnson, Ken Link on a Wednesday afternoon. We're here every Wednesday from 4 to 5. Ken, Madison Bumgarner.
Yeah, Madison Bumgarner, baseball season has started, and they were just a couple of games Sunday, and then the big opening day was Monday. But Madison Bumgarner made the news Sunday as he started, hit 2 home runs, tape measure home runs, both well over 400 feet.
One was a line drive.
One of them was a line shot.
And the other one was out of the stadium, looked like.
The only major league pitcher who's ever hit 2 home runs on the opening day.
Unbelievable.
And that gives him 18 home runs his career in the major leagues, which is by far the most for any active pitcher. I know you was telling me, Tim, a story about the show he put on one time. You watched him as he hit home runs. I can tell
Unbelievable.
you can relate that story. I can tell you when he was playing Legion ball, he didn't play a lot of Legion ball because he's always off on All-Star games and stuff playing around the country.
He played for that USA national team, I believe he did.
But I did see him. I think it was after he was actually finished his sophomore year in high school. Hit one in Cherylville well over the scoreboard. So the guy, he's a big, strong guy, and he can hit the ball as well as being a great
Well, I tell you,
pitcher.
Ken, my son played down at down baseball down in Atlanta, Georgia, at East Cobb Complex. It's a big baseball complex. It's known around the world. So anyway, went down there, had tickets to the game there at Atlanta Stadium. the Giants, the year they won the World Series that Madison just dominated in pitching in the World Series, did a hitting show for us down there and during batting practice. He hit 15 out in a row. Now, I ain't talking about this over the fence, Ken. I'm talking about in the upper deck of Atlanta Stadium. Now, you talking about a show, and everybody that was standing around, we were actually the guy that got the tickets for us is a great friend of mine, Larry Graham. He got seats down behind the Giants Stadium. Well, or the Giants the bullpen right there where we were. So anyway, we got to go down like on the edge of the field and watch where Madison hit at. It was unbelievable. And this guy would just watch him swing the bat. So anyway, he walked off and he came over and he talked to us a little bit because I hollered his dad name. And so we know his dad because he's a great guy. And so Matt's come over, signed some balls and stuff like that, talked to the kids, talked to my son, shook her hand and stuff. So anyway, just a great guy and very, very humble, low key. You don't say a whole lot. But just to watch him hit the baseball as a pitcher, and this is a pitcher, Ken, 6'5", and he's all man.
He takes his hitting very seriously.
Seriously.
You talk about some people you see give away bats, especially pitchers. Madison Bumgarner never gives away a bat. He's up there and he's serious with that bat in his hand.
He's a folk hero.
He is.
He's become.
Really
I'm serious,
really
Ken.
He really is.
I mean, some of the things he does and stuff. I know. I was telling my son when he got married. He went to his dad, and Kevin's telling us this, and Kevin said, "Yeah." He said, he came to me, he said, "Dad, I'm going to courthouse," and he said, "All right, son, go on up there." He said, "Are you going to get married?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "We're going to get married." So he goes to the courthouse, Ken, and him and his wife, in justice peace, right there, gets married, and Danny takes her and goes buys her a calf for a wedding present. Old country boy, Madison Bumgarner.
Old country boy. And by the way, in that opening game, he pitched. He had a perfect game for like 5 2/3 innings before he got tired in the 6th, and they scored 3 runs off.
Probably got tired of hitting.
Yeah, probably did. Probably got tired of swinging it and running around the bases. So, but he definitely is a folk hero.
All right, Ken. A little bit of Major League Baseball. How's our Braves doing?
Well, they started off with getting shut out the first game, so it's just getting started. Most teams only played a game or two, so it's hard. It's too early to really tell what's going to happen. So I play a lot of fantasy baseball, and I had my one of the teams I play on. I had my draft Saturday night. I was having a little bit of trouble trying to draft players and watch the Tar Heels in the national championship.
Right.
In the Final Four, but. That's kicked off, and it's going to be an interesting year. There were some different movements around the league, and players going to different teams, and we'll see if the Cubs can come back and win again this year.
And I picked the Indians last week. I said the Indians are going to win the World Series. That's who I'm sticking with. I'm riding with the Cleveland Indians. I love their coach.
Yeah, I love some of the players. I like Miller, the lefty reliever. Who played at Carolina, and he comes in and does his job. And I know he got to win first game of the season because he's in there, and they came back and won the game. And I got him on my fantasy team because he gets wins, and occasionally I'll have him do saves, and he always shuts people down. Great ERA and that kind of thing. So,
and the Hornets, Ken, your Charlotte Hornets. I was looking here. They got 4 games left, so they're going to have to probably win out if they get a spot. Can they do it?
Well, I thought they were dead 2 weeks ago, and
we should ask Kevin that.
They went on a winning streak there, and actually they lost some tough games at home that you'd want them to win, but then they went on the road and won something you wouldn't expect them to.
Right.
But they lost a one last night that really hurt. So they probably got to win out the last 4 games to have a shot at it, and they still mathematically could do it.
Do it.
I wouldn't bet on it, but it could happen.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed. Let's hope they sneak into playoffs in the back door somehow or another. Now, Ken, another big news, and we're talking about NFL football. My man Tony Romo is hanging it up, Ken. He's going straight to the commentator with Jim Nantz in the CBS Sports, Ken. What do you think about that?
Well,
Tony Romo.
I tell you what, he did a little bit of faking and faked a few people out. You know, we first thought he was going to play football, and he wanted to had some favorite teams he'd like to end up at, and they went around and around. They was going to release him, and then they were going to maybe trade him. And as it turns out, I think he was looking for a broadcast job all along.
Well, You know, Tony Romo's been a great quarterback for the Cowboys. I mean, without a doubt, he's carried the Cowboys in a lot of their games. And I knew Kevin came in here, Kevin Hastings, and he was talking to us, and he was saying that, you know, Tim, you know how many losing seasons Romo's had? And I said, how many? I guess 3. He said 0, none. Yeah. And, you know, if you think about it, he hasn't had a losing season. I mean, he's had 8-8 seasons.
Yeah, he just got a lot of folks thinking he hadn't done well just because he hadn't got them to the playoffs in one playoff game.
Well, when he gets hurt, that's when they have a losing season. Until last year. Last year he got hurt the last preseason game against Seattle. And so everybody said, oh, no, Cowboys are done. Because a lot of people picked the Cowboys, you know, win the division as well as they did, but go to the Super Bowl. So what happens? Dak Prescott.
Yeah. And just the way it turned out. And the Cowboys, I mean, who would have sat down Prescott with the way he's playing? You couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. You couldn't do it.
I would have never said
no
that
coach. No coach would have done that.
Right.
You couldn't do it.
So, you know, and I've always been a big supporter of Romo and stuff like that. But you remember that little conversation we had earlier yesterday, and I told you, I said, Ken, I just want you to think about something. You know, a lot of people say Romo, he's possibly Hall of Fame. Well, I'm going to ask you something, Ken. Romo's never won but, what, 3 playoff games, I think it is? Okay. If he's won that many playoff games, just 2 or 3, now you look at all your top-notch quarterbacks. You know, you got Drew Brees, Peyton Manning was retired, Brett Favre. You know, you got Aaron Rodgers, Ben Roethlisberger, and then we can go Tom Brady. You know, Tom Brady just in the class by himself.
Yeah, but all those have won many playoff
championships.
Games. Yeah,
they playoffs.
Yeah,
a lot of Talk Jake Delhomme.
Yeah, he's won more playoff games than Tony Romo ever did.
He's been Super Bowl too, hasn't he?
He has.
So if Romo's a Super Bowl, if he's a Hall of Fame football player, where's that put Jake Delhomme at?
Well,
think about that. How many years? Jake Delhomme played what? 9 years with the Panthers. So 8-9 years.
Well, you know, and
he came from New Orleans.
Yeah, somebody said, what criteria are you using to say he's a Hall of Fame? And some folks really say it's really a lot of weight should be put on how well you do as far as playoffs.
True.
Even when you have mean, you have great stats and people know you're one of the best quarterbacks.
But Romo's never had a defense.
I agree with you.
He's never had a defense.
And so to me, it's a combination of both. Is he a Hall of Fame quarterback? If I was voting, I would say no, but that's you know.
Right.
Some other people may say yes. He's got great stats as a Cowboys quarterback. All time as far as yardage, touchdowns. Got a lot of good stats
for wins.
He just don't have a lot of playoff stats.
Right.
As far as wins, you know.
He has, you know, I would love to saw him play behind this team.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
He had some of this team.
Yeah.
You know, a couple years ago when they got beat by Green Bay.
But the last 2 years he hadn't been on the field.
He has not, and that's sad. You know, and
I was surprised that CBS is gonna, not that he's just going to the broadcast booth, but they give him the #1 chair with Jim Nantz and sort of kicked Phil Simms to the side to do something else. I was a little surprised that now. I haven't seen Romo that much on TV, and he seems like he's articulate or whatever, but I just surprised they put him right in that #1 chair.
He's got pressure on him.
I would say so.
That's pressure, Ken, right there. Taking Phil Simms' place, working with Jim Nantz, the #1 spot. So we'll see what he can do. Now, also, Ken, during the week, I heard a rumor, I don't know how true it is, that the Carolina Panthers could move up to the #2 spot.
Yeah, they've been.
What is the reason behind that? Or who are they looking at? Defense or offense?
The rumor is they're looking for defense.
True.
They're looking for a pass rusher, but Myles Garrett, which is the consensus #1 pick,
right?
They wouldn't get him, but Solomon Thomas from Stanford, they're real high on him as a defensive end.
Gotcha.
And so, but I think they said that was discussed, and then somebody, you know, hit it, become a big rumor. I don't know how serious it is. I don't favor that. I wouldn't want them to trade.
Where are they at? Where are they
at?
They're
8.
They're 8. What? Yeah.
If you trade up to 2, you better be going up there to get a special talent you believe is better, much more talent than the other players in that top 10.
So if they trade up 2, they're going to give the team will get their first round pick, 8th pick, and then more likely they're going to have to give up probably a second round pick.
2 second round picks.
2 second round picks.
2 second round
maybe
picks.
Maybe in 2018.
Yeah, or maybe
this year.
Or maybe 2 second rounds of the third. I say that's too much. There's too many good players to be given up.
This this is a defensive draft.
Yeah, it is. And there's a lot of defensive end rushers. Now, some are better than others, but I don't favor that. I don't favor that
either.
at all.
Not being 8. Now, if you're, I guess you say 25, 26, around where the Cowboys is, and you want to move up to jump up or to get that player, possibly. I can't see going 8 to 2. I don't understand.
And if you're not crazy about who's going to be there at 8, what about trading down to about 20?
Well,
and get you another pick.
I possibly think they need a running back too, Ken.
Well,
so if you move up in the draft, I know they say you can get your running backs in the later rounds too, but you got Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
You got some good quality backs that are going to come out probably in the top 15, 20, picks.
Yeah, and it's up until now between the draft, you're going to hear a lot of rumors, and a lot of times folks put out stuff just to fake other teams out about what they're going to do and that kind of thing. So I hope they don't trade up. I think it's just a rumor. We'll see what happens. You never know.
Right. Well, we'll see. Like I say, we're going to have the draft is about 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks away?
Yeah, it's the end of
Thursday
April.
night.
It's the end of April, so it's about 3 weeks or so, I guess. So that's when it is.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm anxious to see who the Cowboys are going to get and see who they're going to draft, and as well as the Panthers too. I'm anxious to see if the Panthers do make that move to move up to number 2. I think with Romo retiring, I think there've been a lot of changes in quarterbacks, Ken. I think they're going to start thinking, if he retires, goes to the booth, possibly he may not come out if we need him. So somebody might have to get a quarterback that don't need one that's going to have to get one now.
Yeah. Somebody may jump up in that top 10 and
things are going to shake up. I think it's going to be a very interesting draft.
And if somebody needs one that's not in the top 10, they might make a trade to get there to grab one.
And we're going to bring that to you live right here. Yeah. So on the Best in Sports. All right, NASCAR. Brad Keselowski wins Martinsville, and Kyle Larson's leading the points, and Chase Elliott second, only 4 points back. So Brad, is this his second win, Brad Keselowski?
I think it is his second one. And Kyle Larson and who won the previous week,
right?
And Chase Elliott, 2 young guys, have really been doing great this year.
And Chase Elliott's Bill Elliott's son.
Yeah.
So he's taking over Jeff Gordon's old car number 24 for Rick Hendricks. So, but yeah, we need to call Rick. We need to get Rick on the show, and we need to get him talk about his young driver Chase Elliott. We'll try to make that happen.
We didn't have any big news like any fights or anything this week. So
no. Always in NASCAR, it's very interesting in fights and stuff like that. You're always going to have somebody, a driver, something, have a little scuffle.
When it happens, NASCAR said, well, we hate that. But they don't really hate that. They like that kind of stuff. It creates interest.
I tell you, Keselowski, he might be the man to beat this year, Ken.
He might. He's solid. He's always consistent. He's not up and down. And Harvick was really doing well, but he's had a couple of bad races, and he's down in the points, about 12th or something. So
how about my man Jimmy Johnson?
He's out midways. I think he's about 6th or 7th. Jimmy Johnson's always around. And when you get down to the later races, he's the man.
That's when he turns it on.
He turns it on. He's the man.
It's tournament time then. Yeah. He's ready for it.
So. Don't count him out.
All right, Kenny. So, sports-wise,
coming up this week,
we got Scott Davenport from Quail Hollow Club. He's going to call us. Scott's going to be live on the show next Wednesday.
We got the Masters.
Masters rest of this week.
We'll have a lot to talk about there. And continuing with high school baseball as they head down sort of second half of their season. And
we got the tournaments, too. They got the Easter tournament in Shelby.
Yeah, they had some tournaments coming up.
And Cherville's tournament's always in – where's it at in Gastonia?
It's in Gastonia. I think it's Sims Park.
Sims Park, yeah. So, where the Grizzlies play at. Gastonia Grizzlies. So that's always a big tournament. And Cherville always fares really well. You got the South Point teams. You got the North Gaston. You got some really good baseball teams.
You have some good teams in there. And Cherville get to play some 2A and 3A teams in that tournament.
Right. So, and I know East Lincoln, they go down to Myrtle Beach, Ken.
Yeah.
And play the big tournament down there. They play against teams around the country. There's a lot of teams come in from Ohio. I know Ohio brings a lot of teams in, Virginia teams. So there's quality baseball, high school baseball in our area. And then we got American Legion. Hey, I'm excited about American Legion. Cherville's.
I am too. I look forward to Cherville getting going, and it'll be probably about the middle of May. And sometimes you get started a little later than you want to because you have to wait for teams that's in the playoffs to get done, just like Cherville last year, before you can actually get their players. And usually Coach Reynolds will delay or postpone those games until till he gets his full staff
Right.
there. Because he's busy too, because he's always playing in the state playoffs.
He's always there.
Because he won it again last year.
He's there.
He won it again last year,
I'm
so
telling
you can expect he'll probably be there this year.
And listen, and they're really good this year. I was keeping up some of their stats, man. They're ripping the baseball. So,
well, his teams always will hit.
And I want to apologize to one of our local young men who's playing at Montreat College, and we forgot to name him. You know who I'm talking about, Mr. Matt Bumgarner. I talked to his dad, Jeff. Matt's doing great. He's pitching. Listen, Ken, he's pitched 15 innings up till last week, 0 runs. 15 innings.
I would say that's
0 runs.
Impressive.
That's impressive. So we're going to have Matt call the show, get his coach call. I know Jeff and them is listening too, so Jeff and I are good friends. So Matt Bumgarner is doing well at Montreat College, and there's a lot of kids. Sam's doing well down at where he's at playing ball down at Florence, down towards South Carolina. Also, that's Francis Marion. Also, let's see, I hadn't heard much about Cameron. That's Sam's brother. I know that he's at Raleigh, a school in Raleigh.
Yeah, playing. And
yep.
Also, Roy Ryan, don't forget about Hunter Jackson. He's playing up there. So
Hunter's
we've got
doing
local
well too.
kids playing.
Yep. Hunter's a great kid too, great catcher. And I think they got Hunter playing second base, Ken.
All right.
All right, Ken, that's going to do it on the Best in Sports show here on a Wednesday. Tune in next Wednesday from 4 to 5 as Tim Johnson and Ken Link brings nothing but the very best in sports to you, all the local areas as well as college and professional.
So long until next week, we'll be with you again to talk sports.